Hey everybody, you are on the Love Boat, and I am sunburned. Tell you what, people, I went out to the rehab center today with my brother. I shot a lot of shorts, I did a lot of things, and unfortunately, fortunately, it's growing. I'm sure Johnny talked to you about it. It's absolutely unbelievable. There's a lot more people there. Good to see all of you. I'm not going to say hi because we're going to cook through this thing because right now, the inside of my head feels like someone's playing a bass drum inside it. It's absolutely amazing, and I'm not going to make it long, but I want to get rid of some disinformation that people are saying all over the place on the internet. And these are people that, quite simply put, don't know what's going on. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but these are theoreticals. When I was on my way to the special management unit, which is the ugliest place in federal prison, it is where the 1% idiots end up. And it was not a shining spot in my life, but I had people on the street that cared about me, and one of them was an attorney who I was married to at the time, and pulled a bunch of files on what the special management unit was. And she said to me, "Oh, don't worry about it. They pull you out every single day so that you can go to class. They take people from the Bloods and the Crips, and they put them in the same room, and they take people that hate each other, certain blacks and white groups, and stick them together." All of this, of course, was BS, but it's what they tell people, and it's what Congress tells people. The First Step Act went through. The First Step Act went through while I was in prison. There are some benefits that people get from it. One of them is that if you program, you get time off of your sentence. This is a unique to the feds, recent to the feds, because the state does this all the time. The feds do not. So once the First Step Act was put into place, it gave people the opportunity to get a little time off their sentence for actually being a solid cat. The problem is this: there aren't enough programs. So there are plenty of yards that don't have them, period. And my guess would be probably not sex offender yards, right? But on top of that, there are guys in there doing 25 years who don't have a sense of humor for a guy coming in with 48 months that wants to go in and start taking all of the programs away from other people. You get on very long waiting lists. So all of these people that say he's going to go in, he's going to program, he's going to get out like that, I promise you, sounds good. Probably you could read about it online, and it says that is absolutely what could happen. Even if you read it on the BOP website. But there's a difference between being in prison and reading about all the crap that they say that they do for people in prison, because it ain't the same thing, I promise you. In fact, I'll give you a perfect example. They said that he's going to be getting about 54 days off for his sentence. That's what I got when I was in there. That's exactly what everybody's always got. So I don't know what this First Step Act has done, because it was supposed to actually give you what you're supposed to get off, which is more than that. When you finally work it out, they're screwing everybody over, I promise you. And that's what they tell you. He's getting off. He's not going to. He's going to get less than that because they're going to prorate it on the last year. It really has gotten out of control, right? There's a great guy out there, does a lot of really cool content. I dig watching him. I really do. He's an attorney. I'm not going to out the dude, but he's been talking a lot about the Diddy case. And he said that he's dealt with a lot of people that have gone into the feds. And he's saying he's not going to get out in the time that people say he's going to. So he agrees on that. But he said once he gets out, he's looking at 10 years being on the sex offender registry, and that's not the truth. A lot of people are saying that. Now he's got to register as a sex offender. This is not in prison. It's considered a sex offense. But it's not going to be for the purpose of him registering. I pulled his judgment of commitment, and in the feds, he doesn't have to register. That's not part of this crime. If he had been convicted of any of the other stuff, then he would have absolutely had to look at that, but that's not what he was convicted of. So that's not a fact. Sounds good. It's not true. So the people that are telling you, but I will tell you this: for a guy to get a sentence as short as he did, normally you get a tail, right? This is called probation in the feds. It would probably be called something else in the state, because in the state, probation is what you get instead of going to prison. In the federal system, probation is what you get when you get out of prison. So you have to do a specific period of time under the thumb of the Bureau of Prisons. In fact, if you look at it in writing, it says you're still incarcerated. You're not free. You give up your Fourth Amendment rights. There's a whole lot of ugly that comes along with that entire thing. He got a 5-year tail. I did 5 times longer than he did, right? And I got a 3-year tail. So they're looking at this guy like he's a big-time dirtbag. He's going to have to do 5 years with them sitting on top of him, giving him random drug tests, going through a lot of stuff. And unless things have really changed, they don't bend for anybody. They just don't. But if that was where the story ended, right, then that would be it. Ashley G says, those guns without serial numbers should be a problem. Giggity. All right, for real, this is actually a thing, right? So where are we at right now? What is Diddy? What position is the cat really looking at? Well, here's the thing. They seized during this trial about 98 devices of his. You remember me talking about this? Terabytes of information. I read through the list today. We're talking about, it looks like a dozen iPads of various different sizes, probably between 9 and 10, 13, something like that, phones, thumb drives out the wazoo, and something that they call the Ibiza tapes. And allegedly, the Ibiza tapes are kind of a big deal. There's a lot of dirt on there that the guy did that he could be in trouble for. But here's the deal. The feds have got priors for seizing these kind of devices, then going through it and charging someone for a new crime. Let's put our critical thinking caps on. You charge somebody and you've got terabytes of information. And the defense says, we got to go to trial on this as fast as we can. And they push for the fastest trial probably in the history of the feds. He was going to trial before a year had come up. That's kind of out of control, right? That doesn't happen. But if you're the prosecution and you're sitting on all of that stuff, yeah, you could pull those guns. He could still get charged with that. Now, guns are complicated. A lot of times they don't charge people with them instantly. And the reason is they're going to try to extract serial numbers off of those guns. Even if they obliterated them, there's chemicals that they can use because you pound that down so hard that it's almost impossible to completely obliterate a serial number. They've gotten really good at picking them off of metal. That's just one possibility. If you remember, R. Kelly, this is how R. Kelly got popped. They kept stuff and then they looked at it. So if you knew you were going to court and all of this stuff was there, okay, so you don't charge him with all the other predicate crimes. And there's a bunch on there, right? There's a bunch on there. One of the people allegedly that's on this stuff is suing Diddy, and it's not one of the cases that's dropped off. This is a case where the person is going all the way to the box, and the states looked at the evidence and allowed it to go forward, which means that there's probably something there. And allegedly, there's proof of that stuff on these tapes. They're going to go through all this stuff. The feds don't hand stuff back without combing through it. Now, they may not have had enough time to comb through all of that stuff and figure out every one of those crimes and talk to the people that need to be talked to and pull that off in a 1 year period of time. But if you throw the guy in jail on some little less than a big deal kind of crime, and I'm not saying what he did is cool, but it's not the kind of crime that gets you a lot of time. It doesn't even get you that sex offender beef or whatever where you're going to have to register and go through all of that stuff. So this is kind of a different situation. But now they've got a ton of time on their hands. Even if the guy went away and with what everybody is saying is the best case scenario, the sky opens up, the Jesus clouds come down, and everything is perfect in this man's life, which isn't going to happen. But if it did and he maxed out all the programs and all that, they're saying he's got about another 20 months to give him. I don't think that has a chance in hell of happening. However, if it did, now the feds have got 20 months to go through all this stuff. And they may say, this isn't a Fed case, but it's a state case, so we'll kick it to Florida. There's a whole bunch of opportunities for Sean Combs' life to get a lot worse than it is right now. And I wouldn't start saying, boy, you know what? He really skated. He got off free. He's locked up in prison, and all of his devices belong to the federal government. So here's the deal. If they don't come back and hit him with some really ugly charges, then everything we heard was BS. And as far as critical thinking goes, I know that there's some of it that isn't. A lot of it is. A lot of what we heard is just complete and utter BS. People that wanted a paycheck, people that wanted fame, people that were mentally ill, everybody and their brother jumped on that car. And it's coming to an end because the people that were BSers are getting, culled out, but not everybody is. There's a lot of cases that are moving forward. We're talking about more information in theory than there is. If you did it by bits, it's more information that's in the Library of Congress. This guy's got a ton of stuff recorded, a ton. When we looked this up the last time, they said that it's the equivalent of about, I don't remember whether it was 250 or 2,500. It was a ridiculous number of a terabyte is 250 full-length Hollywood movies. That's what it is. So like a 2-hour movie, right? You could put 250 of them on 1 terabyte. They were talking about 90 some odd terabytes, some outlandish freaking number. Now, I guess if you've been recording on stuff for 20 years, and I'm sure a lot of it is kids stuff and stupid stuff and, 15 takes to make something to put on YouTube. Like all of that's probably on some of these devices. But if anything that they're saying about this cat is true, then there's going to be a lot of filth on that stuff. A lot of stuff that he did that probably isn't legal. it's going to be particularly interesting, in my humble opinion, to get a look at all of the stuff that they have on there to see whether or not this is real or not. Tommy, quiet down. I'm at work and everyone can hear you. Well, I'm not going to be on for about another minute. I'm telling you, my head is thumping. But I did want to get out in front of this because there's just so much misinformation that's getting put out, and it feels like the last time. And I suppose I could run with it, but I'm not doing that. We're going to try to keep this real. And the real thing is that they're sitting on all of that stuff, and they're pissed off. Keep it real. They just lost this case. But they lost probably the hardest case you could ever try to prove, which is the RICO with one guy. And not because it's that he didn't do it, but trying to explain that to a group of people that their only point of reference is that RICO is used to take down the entire mob. So you go from the top all the way down. Gangs where, the shot caller of a gang tells his minions to go kill somebody, and they charge every single person in the gang, in prison or out of prison. This kind of stuff happens all the time. It's much more confusing when it's only one guy. But look, if it's a racketeered, influenced, corrupt organization, it doesn't matter how many people are running it. In fact, if people had the time to research it, they'd realize that they've RICO'd companies. It's just a racketeering, influenced, corrupt organization. It's not saying that we're going to just knock down X or this person or that person. It wasn't designed for the mob. It wasn't designed for a single person. It was designed for whatever you had to do if someone was in the racketeering. And on that note, people, I can't hang on any longer. I'm telling you, I'm dying, and I'm going to go put on my Falcon hood. Maybe I'll take a picture and post it on tomorrow. But I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you for showing up, and I will be back tomorrow night. I don't know if you can see that. But boy, oh boy, did I burn myself out there today. I am Tommy, and I will see you guys on the next one. Between now and then, try a little critical thinking. Maybe put a little love in your heart. God bless. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.